Welcome to Access Granted Systems. In this video, I will show you how to create and send invoices to your members. Now, I have in a sample community here, and I am logged in as an account administrator, so only account administrators have access to the billing platform. Now, before we get started, let's take a look at our member list. And a quick refresher here, but our membership ID, some communities use an account number for that. Some communities use a bond number to organize their members. Some communities use a street address as the membership ID. So this is going to come into play with our invoices. So I want to mention that now. The other thing that comes into play with invoices is the membership type. And this is how you can charge a different fee for couple memberships versus single memberships versus family memberships. So your different membership types, you can send different invoices to. For our sample community here, so most people are expired, and we're going to be sending invoices to our members. And the whole idea is to set a new expiration date. This way they have access to the pool only when they pay their invoice. Okay. And then I just want to point out Wayne here. So he is a suspended member. And so I'll show you how we can unsuspend people when they pay their invoices. And we have one person here, Tom. He has paid in advance here, so he has not expired. And so I'll show you how to exclude Tom when we write some invoices. Okay. And one last thing as far as your community here, under operations, there's a way to rename your membership types. And there's a way to view all your membership types as well by clicking the arrow. And then one example is, let's say a few years from now, you have a bronze membership and you have a gold membership, but you want to combine them into one membership type. Well, you can go ahead and rename them into your single membership type. Okay, so there's that function as well. But let's go back to member list again. And before I write invoices, I like to make a game plan as far as how I'm going to write these invoices here. And so for this video, we're actually going to write 3 different types. So we're going to send a single invoice to somebody, and I'm going to select Stephen for that single invoice. And then I'm going to show you how you can invoice one particular membership type. So we're going to invoice all of our family memberships with a few simple clicks. And the last one is our monthly dues, our monthly memberships, and that's how you can set up a recurring invoice. So I'll show you how to set up a recurring invoice. Okay, so let's jump into the billing platform. So under menu, I click billing, and there's 2 tabs here. So the first tab is your request. This is going to be a log of all the requests that you've made, all the invoices that you've written. The second is the actual invoices themselves. So let's go ahead and display these here. And so you'll get to see how much money you've collected, how much money is unpaid yet. So these are your open invoices. And if you have overdue invoices, this will tally that as well. But we're writing invoices today, so I'm going to go back to the requests. Okay, so let's go ahead and write our first invoice by clicking the yellow plus button. And the first thing it's going to ask is for a title or a subject. And I recommend a very descriptive title here. So when you refer back to it later or a few years from now, you can find it. And that's our 2022 board member annual fee. Now this is the invoice I only want to send one membership, or I want to send Stephen in particular. So I do not want to send it to all my members. I only want to send it to a single membership. So single membership. And then the membership ID, so that's our identifier, that's our account number, or bond number, or our street address. And so for Stephen, it's actually 101, and you can view that by clicking the blue icon, or hovering over the blue icon here, and there's Stephen. Okay, so I have this going to the right person. Now, I'm going to skip options for now. I don't want to exclude anybody, so I do want to send this invoice. Next up is to write the line item for the invoice. And so if I wanted to do 2 line items, I can go ahead and do that. But this is a simple invoice, so we're going to do 1 line item. And it is a normal invoice, meaning that the quantity times whatever dollar value I put here. So let's say it's a $2 invoice, it would be 1 times 2. And there is a way to change that invoice to per member. And what the per member means is that, let's say it's a membership with 2 people, it would be 2 times 2, and that invoice would be for $4. If it was 3 people in the household, it would be 3 times 2. All right, but this is a normal invoice, so I'm going to change it back there. And I'll also tell you there's a way to invoice only overdue balances if you, in conjunction with our overdue function there. Okay, but this is a normal invoice. All right, next up is we're going to schedule when this invoice should be sent. So let's send that today. And let's set a due date for that invoice, maybe 2 weeks from now. Okay, so this is not a recurring invoice. So this invoice will only be sent once. And next up is our note section. So the first note is a note that Stephen's going to get. And so I'm going to thank you for being a member of our club. And the second note section is an internal note. So only you or only your account administrators will be able to see that. Okay. And so my note here is that the dues were approved in the board meeting in December. And so that's how I came up with the $2 price there. So the last sections are the actions when Stephen does pay his invoice. And we can set an alert so we can email somebody when an invoice has been paid. So maybe I want to invoice my treasurer. So we're going to set an alert to a treasurer. You don't have to put that email in there. So the treasurer could also log in and look at the invoices through the invoices tab up here. But that will send him an email saying that somebody paid an invoice. So next up is setting a new expiration date. And so I definitely do want to do this. And let's set that expiration date in the future. So next year, and this club, everybody expires on October 15th. So I'm going to set 2022, October 15th as my expiration date. And if the person is suspended, we're going to go ahead and unsuspend them when they pay their invoice. And then you can also set a number of guest passes. So when Stephen does pay his invoice, that'll increment his guest passes by 10. So your facility might give out 10 free guest passes per year. You want to punch in 10. He's a board member, so I'm going to give him some more guest passes. All right, so we're done completing this invoice. So we're going to go ahead and submit that, and we are sure we want to submit that. And in a few moments here, that's going to be sent to Stephen. In the meantime, let's work on our second invoice that we do. So I do want to send an invoice to all of our family memberships. Okay, so let's create a new membership. Or sorry, new invoice. And we're going to create that title, so very descriptive there. And we don't want to send it to everybody. We want to send it to a specific membership type. And that specific membership type is our family membership type. Okay, so it's not going to go to our couples, just our families. Now next is the options here. And if you hover your mouse over your option, it gives you a little description. It's probably hard to see on this video here. But I'm going to check expired here, meaning that it's going to exclude any members that are not expired. So remember Tom earlier, his membership is already valid, like he's good for the next 2 years. So we do not want to send Tom an invoice, but we'll send everybody else the invoice. Okay, so next up is my line items. So we'll go ahead and put our description in there. And it says a normal member, and we'll make that a nice even $2 again. And we'll set that invoice to be sent out today, and then maybe due 2 weeks from now. And we're not recurring this invoice, we're just going to send it once. And then we're going to add our thank you note to our members. And you have already seen the internal note, so I'm going to leave that blank. And then maybe you don't want your treasurer to get all these confirmation emails, so we're going to take that out. We do want to leave that expiration date. And then we're going to unsuspend everybody. And then this is not a board member, so maybe these patrons, they don't get free guest passes, so we're going to leave that at 0. Okay, so let's go ahead and submit this request. Okay, So this one's processing, or the last one was already sent to Stephen here. Okay. Now, the last type of invoice that I'm going to show you today is a recurring invoice. And this is going to be for our, let's say you have a membership type that they pay once a month. We're going to set up a recurring invoice for that. So same process. We're going to click the yellow plus button here. And we're going to put a description here, so monthly dues. And then we don't want to send that to everybody. We wanted to send it to a specific membership type, and we only want to send it to our monthly memberships. So there's our monthly memberships. And we're not going to restrict it, so we're always going to send this invoice no matter what. So let's go ahead and put our line item here. So monthly dues, and it's just a flat fee. We'll make that $2 as well. And now let's schedule this to be sent. So maybe you want that to be once a month. And so maybe on January 1st will be the first time this invoice is sent. And let's give our members a little bit of time to pay them. And what would you like to do? We'll give them a whole month, or we'll give them 2 weeks. Okay. Now this is where you make it a recurring invoice. And so we're going to not select never, but we're going to set that up as a monthly recurring. So you can do it weekly, annually. So there's lots of different ways you can do this. Okay. So that's our monthly recurring invoice. So let's go ahead and add our thank you note. Okay. And our notes added. We're not going to alert the treasurer. And then we're going to clear that expiration date. So we don't want to change the expiration dates for our monthly persons. All right, so we're good to send this one. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the send button. And that one is scheduled to be sent out on January 1st of 2022. Okay. And thank you for watching, and thank you.